together with our panelists to discuss how important data will play and how you guys explore crypto AI, especially in the data space. And we're going to share more details. Before jumping into our panelists, I want to briefly about what Chainbase did for this whole industry. So we're the new data stack that optimizes value of data. We provide four universally accessible capabilities for the industry. One is data integration, data accessibility, data intelligence, and data scale. Hopefully everyone will join a good ecosystem with us together. So let's move on to our panelists. So could you guys give me a brief idea about your background and what your project is focusing on and why you jumped into AI, especially on some data focuses?
Sure, I can go for this. So to go back in time, my background is in I did a Master of Science in Computer Science and AI. So I joined Amazon. I got bored there pretty quickly. Left Amazon, AWS, and joined the Near Foundation. So I worked for them for more than 2 years now, and I'm solely focused on the Near AI vertical for the last few months. So just to give you some context on why Near AI now. So first, Near started as an AI company back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. And back in the days, so two founders, Pierre and Alex, don't have the necessary VC money and data to create a cool company. So the idea was to teach machine to code back in the days, and so they would crowdsource data points, and their focus, so the main users were the different students around the world, and so you had to do micropayments to them, and they had to use a solution for this. They came up with the final idea was to use crypto and blockchain to do all these micropayments, but no blockchain was cheap enough to do this kind of stuff. So they were okay, we're gonna create a simple blockchain, kind of, but it ended up being Near. So they worked fully on 4 years on this. It's still running now. It didn't stop at all, just to have a lot of full-time engineers on the protocol side. But now, yeah, we are going back to the initial idea of teaching machine to code, and we've been working on this for 6 months or something.
Hello everyone, I'm YJ. I'm the founder of OpenLayer. So I started my career as an engineer at Silicon Valley in Facebook for years. And then I joined Robinhood and worked there as a tech lead for 3.5 years. So I was doing multiple crypto projects back to Robinhood. For example, we handle the data layer, the KYC, AML for the crypto trading in Robinhood. We also built things like the on-off ramp back to the time. So I and two of my other co-founders, we left our job from Robinhood and co-founded OpenLayer together since last year in May. So what we built is a modular, authentic data layer powered by everyone. So basically, we allow anyone to install a browser extension or a mobile app to start contributing data for the platform. We use technology such as ZTLS to help users export data from any Web2 websites, even those without API. So far, we have already launched our Chrome extension, as well as we have finished integration with a few of our customers. So right now, our use cases including we help companies do precision marketing. We help them do the things like vampire attack. And also AI agent companies is one of our target companies. And so far, we are integrated with a few of them to provide the user private data, which is stored behind the login pages for these AI agent companies. Yeah, I can share more later. Yeah, and thank you.
Hey, I'm Evan. I'm one of the founders of Mina Protocol. Before Mina, I was actually doing a master's in machine learning, robotics, and computer science, but ended up getting pulled into doing more crypto things. Mina is very focused on zero-knowledge proofs and making them generally programmable. And it turns out that actually has a lot of use cases for AI. So both to prove authenticity information to AI systems, or not to AI systems, to other humans so that they know they're not AI systems. And also to create proofs of what machine learning models are doing on chains. We can have AI models interact more with on-chain information. Think like an AI fund manager or an AI that upgrades a contract. Some of these things are a little farther away, it seems like, but if agents get better in the next couple of years, which seems plausible, they seem quite relevant to connecting with crypto.
I'm Mina, co-founder of Vana. I kind of first got into crypto through mining Ethereum back in 2015, just using like free electricity in my dorm room. And then ended up, I was doing some research at CSAIL, which is MIT's AI lab. Ended up using some of that to automate my job as an intern at the World Bank, and kind of accidentally started a document sorting company. From that, dropped out of school, went through IC, but really saw that ultimately AI models are only as good as their data, and started to kind of think through like, hey, how can you take what's worked well for Bitcoin and Ethereum and apply it to a kind of AI first world where data is really that currency. So with Vana, what we're building is user-owned AI through user-owned data. You might know Vana through the Reddit DataDAO, which is one of the big projects on the network, but there are a whole bunch of different DataDAOs. There is, actually I think I see someone working on the protein folding DataDAO who's here, right there, but there are a bunch of other ones as well. There's like the Twitter DataDAO, the LinkedIn DataDAO, which just raised like $500,000, founded by the guy who used to sell data at LinkedIn. And our core focus is really get data out of these walled gardens through the DataDAOs and then use them to train better AI models.
Yeah, thanks for the audience. I think crypto AI is hottest of the hottest topic right now. But if we zoom into it, I think there are two different approaches. One is crypto AI, the other is AI for crypto. The distinguished lines in whether you are solving a problem in traditional AI workflow or the crypto challenges. So I'd like to hear your view on this. Why do you think AI and crypto work for each other, and how do you think will benefit each other? Go with
Yeah, I can start. So I feel like already now it was shown that like centralized AI. So if we look at the current actors like OpenAI, Google, Meta, we don't really know what they're doing like the closed doors, and it's a black box that you're using, and it becomes obvious that you need some like trustless way of doing like transactions between agents, or even like to interact with these agents. So you need like proofs and this kind of stuff. What's happening in the background and everything you need to be able to trace. And so it becomes like clear that you need some layer, which could be blockchain. Will be blockchain, I guess, in the future. And so that's why it makes a lot of sense for us to use blockchain to leverage AI for the long term. Because if we stick with like centralized AI and no way to prove what we're doing, it's gonna end up pretty bad.
I think that's also along with what Mina did, right? Proof of everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I kind of think of it, we're kind of downstream of the actual training of systems, but more on like, how do we both mitigate the negative effects of AI, as well as like allow them, in other cases, actually take advantage of the benefits. And it really comes through in both those ways, like, for one, being able to prove facts about whether you're human or not, for example. So you can prove you're not a bot online, or prove a piece of media is from a authentic place and hasn't been created by a generative AI. So there's that side. There's also the other side of like, can we actually prove facts about what these AI models are outputting, and then put them on chain as agents to interact with other humans, dApps, and other AIs on chain. And I think that latter one, we need like AIs to be better as agents, but it seems like that's getting relatively close with O1 and the other kind of advancements going on.
Yes. Any thoughts from Anna?
Yeah, I think with decentralized AI, there are a lot of like ideological arguments you could make, but that rarely drives like product adoption or generally what gets used in the industry. And so I think the question to ask is like, what does bringing crypto to AI let you do that you could not do before, right? And so in the case of the DataDAOs on Vana, I think there was one really good example where Reddit, around when the Reddit DataDAO hit 100,000 users, actually tried to shut the project down. And there was like a Web2 reporter writing about it. They reached out to Reddit for comment. Reddit said, Vana is violating the API terms and this is not allowed. But because the system is decentralized, we use non-custodial data, which means that it's each user contributing their own data. We're not even acting as a data processor, as a network. The project was able to stay up. And so I think that's one example of sort of like, what is the net new thing that decentralization allows you to do? Kind of moving beyond just the ideological, like, hey, AI should be like collectively owned, and trying to make it really practical.
Any thoughts? What do you?
Yeah, so I think between AI for crypto and crypto for AI, I feel like the AI for crypto, we could see the application for crypto for AI for crypto earlier, but crypto for AI should have a larger impact in the next few years. So for us, we are also working on the data side. And basically what we do is we use the decentralized way to collect data and serve the data layer here. So when we talk about crypto for AI, we talk about the three different things. We talk about the model, we talk about computation, and also we talk about the data. So among all of these, our vision is we might see the use cases or the strong traction on data side sooner than the other use cases. I think one of the reasons is the strong demand for data in this space is actually coming from the Web 2 side, not Web 3. For example, we have heard from lots of the Web 2 AI folks that today, more than 90% of the public data has been exhausted for training. And even the CEO of Anthropic, Dario, also mentioned, we are not far from running out of the data for Web 2. So that's the reason people start to search for the wider variety of the data they can use for AI. So, and that two kinds of the data set has been appeared for people to talk about. One is the synthetic data, and the other is the private user data. So we also look into the synthetic data. The benefits of synthetic data is it's machine generated, and also it's limitless. However, the concern of that is for the synthetic data, it needs validation from the human experts, which is pretty costly, time-consuming, and not that reliable. We have seen successful use cases on synthetic data such as AlphaGo, but the recent research from some Web 2 AI labs, including Still AI mentioned, the effectiveness of synthetic data might not be very ideal this year. So besides that, another data category we're looking into is the user private data. For private data here, I refer to those data behind the login page. Because today, we can use web crawlers or scrapers to access most of the public data accessible by these web scrapers. However, there are tons of the user private data stored in different Web 2 databases. So these data are stored behind the walled gardens of different Web 2 databases. However, the ability to use these data for the AI company, for AI agents, could be very huge to unlock the new use cases and unleash the power of the AI. And that's exactly how we are contributing to AI sector from a data layer company today.
That's quite interesting. I actually got some specific question for each of you. This time I'll start from Anna, since I'm a big fan of your initiative of DataDAO. I think the initiative of DataDAO involved multiple parties, data owners, contributors, creators, and for me it's very hard to incentive all of them. And how you guys decentralize everything and get user-owned data to be utilized and incentive all the parties?
Yeah, so each DataDAO has its own dataset specific token. So like with the Reddit DataDAO, that's RDAT. With the LinkedIn DataDAO, they have their specific token, and they fully control kind of those tokenomics. So I would say kind of ultimately it's up to the DataDAOs, but we provided kind of a lot of guidance on that side. With the Reddit DataDAO, one interesting dynamic we saw is that you had crypto native users coming in at first who were like, oh, I've got a little bit of Reddit data I can connect in. And then you had folk kind of speculating on that dataset specific token. Because of that, if you were a Reddit user with a lot of karma, you could earn like $300 or $400 for your data. So then people who were not crypto native started to come in and say, hey, I'm actually going to contribute my data because I have a lot of it. And then you end up with a very good data set. And so now that data set has been used to train the first user-owned AI model, which, because it's on Reddit data, it's just good at shitposting, right? But you have sort of the full end-to-end flow of people contribute their data all together. I think the key things to think about in designing those incentives is really making sure that people are rewarded proportionally to how much they actually help an AI model, right? Like, you don't want to reward, maybe to take two extremes. Someone has a Twitter account that just has tweets that all kind of sound AI generated. That's not like teaching the AI model that much. The AI model already knows how to do that. And so Vana relies on proof of contribution to do that. Each DataDAO implements a different proof of contribution, which is measuring, hey, how much is this data actually contributing back to this overall data set? And then, yeah, it depends a lot on the data source, how it's sold. Like the LinkedIn DataDAO, I think they have like some A16Z tokenomics advisor just thinking about the LinkedIn data token. And so he can speak much more to that. I think you, the founder of the protein folding DataDAO, can speak a lot more to that as well.
Yeah. Next one is for Mina. I checked your website yesterday. It said proof of everything. It's quite interesting for me since AI is eating everything right now, and we always use AI to help us to seek for the answers. So I think it touched on a quick question of AI is transparency, and how we can know the answer and how we can know the logic inside. There's a term called causal reasoning. I think that's also touched based on the verify of everything. So I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's useful with zero knowledge proofs is you can create proofs which tell you where something came from. For generative AI, often the best we can do is say that this actually was a set of tokens produced from this model in this context, which isn't quite as good as saying like, you know, here's the reason why that AI outputted those tokens. But you can know that when you hit an API and you ask for some tokens, that they're actually using the model that was expected behind the scenes to produce the output tokens. So you can do proofs of that. I think there's like theoretical proofs you could do beyond that, which is like, here's a proof that the information coming from this AI came from a valid source otherwise. And I think what's interesting there is you can have AI models which take in private data using zero knowledge proofs, but then don't expose that private data. So you can have, for example, an AI model that you know, takes in, you know, some prompt and then some private data from a company, and then you can see what the output of that model is while keeping the company data private in that case. It's not exactly what I think we like fully want, which is like an explanation of why the model is outputting what it is. But we can start proving things about private inputs, as well as knowing the model is being used as expected, which in some cases can still be useful.
Yeah. The next one is for OpenLayer. I think your project features on two key concepts. One is open network, the other is sort of trustworthiness or trustless. So how you guys, tackle these two challenges, and what's the barrier when you develop in the crypto AI project related to those two concepts?
Yeah, I think trustless and that is definitely a very important concept we want to follow when we build the data layer, especially considering the user private data is very sensitive. So how we preserve the user's privacy while we can provide the data for our consumers is pretty hard. I can talk about a few things we do here. So first of all, I can give a quick intro of how we use DataDAO to export user data from any Web2 websites. The user flow would be whenever you land on the page, for example, the LinkedIn. If you are in the loading state, you just need to wait for a few seconds, and during the few seconds, we set up, we have a notary server on the site, and the notary server and your client will set up an MPC. So when there is a response from the server side, then the notary server and the client will do MPC to decode the response. So during the process, we are able to notarize the content that is transmitted in that TLS session. So in this way, actually, we use that to help export your data from, for example, LinkedIn, like your first degree connection, second degree connection, to our consumers of the data. But in this case, the notary server will be able to know all of your raw data, all of the data transmitted in the section. So on top of that, we actually build another layer of zero knowledge proof to ensure the privacy of the user data, while we can do some proof. We can do range proof. We can prove your income, your number of connections, your past experience, things like that. So this is an example of how we ensure the user's privacy while we try to build an open data layer to contribute to our consumers.
The next question is for Pierre. I think we all know that AI is one of the key strategic focus of Mina right now. And I've heard it is that you guys working on the full data stack or technical stack to onboarding development project from model, data, even applications. And I want to prove something. And how the AI project or AI related project is showing your ecosystem to build together.
Yeah. So near, as I told you before, dataset was one of the main focus we had at near back in the days to do dataset crowdfunding, because data is the most important thing to train for a model. And so this dataset crowdfunding platform has been running now since 2021. So it's not like a big challenge we have now. It's like, since it's been running and shown to be working, we have like millions of data points based on the community, and we have like peer reviews of different data points. Contributors get paid fairly for each contribution they send, and then like other people in the community peer review each data points, and then you get slashed if your contribution was wrong. So we have this running, so we have a lot of data. All of this is going to be open source, if not already, some part of it, but we are working on it. And so now we are building a bunch of agents, and we're going to open this like agentic framework. So for you to create new agents, and so we need benchmarks to measure how good an agent is good at the task. We need the benchmark. So basically, a benchmark, just to give a quick definition for you guys, it's a set of tasks that you give as input to a model, and then it allows you to measure how good the model is at a given task. And so now we want to do that data. So a benchmark for crowdfunding. So it's for the community. It's very easy to create benchmarks. And so it's really going to multiply the number of benchmarks that it is today. Because right now it's very hard for the community members to create some. You have like these big benchmarks that exist, like everyone a bunch of them. Those are very general. We have some specialized ones, but it's not like we have thousands and thousands of them. It's pretty good. We don't have much of them. And yeah, so this is one of the biggest challenges we have right now. And yeah, so we are coding the whole infra from data sets to benchmarks, and we're going to have the model training, so we can either use decentralized provider, we can run the whole stack in the machine if you have the cluster at home, which most of you don't, most of us. And yeah, so we can kind of basically offer the whole stack for you to do research from A to C to the end, to the end. And we are really targeting like companies to researchers. Really, the idea is like for like public research to be on top of like the top level research, so it doesn't happen in closed doors. Because right now, like, for example, in so the data is coming from OpenLayer, it's kind of the best again from the old competition. Like since AI is pretty recent LLMs, we still see like public research, and we're gonna meet this level of accuracy soon. But if we don't do anything to make like open source AI easy and accessible for the researchers, like it's gonna like extinguish itself. So really the idea is to help all the researchers and everyone around the world to contribute as they can.
Cool. The next question is for all of you. This is a topic I'm interested in right now. I think it's worth considering to transfer some sort of a project into the public goods in an era of AI. Since in AI, we talk about open source, we talk about the ownership, and we didn't do that much public goods right now, but I think it's worth for all of us to discuss this topic. So what is the thoughts on it? To say how you guys want to provide some universal accessible capabilities for the whole industry and open source all of it, and to make it into public goods utilized by as many community and users as possible. And is it possible to create that much public goods under unique feature of crypto? Yeah.
I think we sort of saw this play out with open source AI, of kind of like open source model weights for acting as a public good. And I think that was working really well 2 years ago, a lot of venture funding going into it, and then there was really a lot of trouble monetizing that, right? And it's very expensive to train these models. It can cost $10 to $100 million today. I think in a few years it's going to cost like $1 billion to $10 billion to train these models for both the compute and data perspective. So I think that our view at Vana is that you actually really need to keep the model weights and the data private in order to be able to monetize them. And so you have something that is collectively owned, but I'm not sure it would exactly fall into the definition of a public good, kind of necessarily. But I'd be curious to hear what other people think.
Yeah, I'll give Emerson's side.
I think it's tricky. Like, yeah, I think it's tricky. I think what is nice is a lot of the tools that get developed end up being public goods and open source. Like a lot of the ZK tooling that's happening around ML right now, which is nice. But then it is tricky to know, like you're saying, like this is going to be like, you know, you want to be able to monetize it. Does it have to be private? Then you can use something like ZK to prove, for example, in that case, that it's coming from like the model, even though it's private, and have it be collectively owned in some way. Maybe I like that idea, but I don't know if I have more to say on the actual public good nature of the weights and everything. I think it's the right thing.
Yeah, probably was not the right term, but what I'm thinking about is that how to get your product to be accessed by as many end users as possible and make it to be centralized and utilized, not just the play of the token. Any thoughts from YG or?
Yeah, actually, I have a personal idea. Yeah, one of my personal ideas is I feel like blockchain should be used to combat deep fake in the AI today. And I'm super bullish about that. So as everyone knows, because of the growth of the AI, and also because of the boundary between the real and artificial that's increasingly blurred, the demand for the authenticity and originality of the digital content is very needed today. However, as we see today, there are lots of deepfake generated from AIGC, and also actually we already see the bad impact of this technology to the society. For example, I know people, they can use a fake ID to bypass the KYC and the AML of a centralized exchange. And also we see people like use AI to fake the adult video by like using their friends or faces, things like that. So yeah, so actually in the recent years, we see a few of the approaches in this sector. For example, one of the approach is we can use cryptographic algorithm to calculate the hash of a video file and then store it on chain, so that in the future, whenever someone wants to verify the authenticity of the video, they can calculate the hash of the file and compare with the one on chain, things like that. So personally, I'm very bullish about the usage of blockchain in this sector. And also that's one of the directions we OpenLayer as a company heading towards it. So one of the ideas we are actually building on is instead of generating any like hash and store it on chain, it might be interesting to basically use something called a secure enclave, so that whenever there's a video taken or there's a like photo taken by your camera, like we can store the hash or the originality of that on the chain, so that whenever there's someone wants to verify the authenticity, they can easily compare, and also they don't need to do any extra steps to do it. So in my case, this is something that can be very helpful to public goods. A lot of the users and the users as well as the companies will have demand for that. Yeah, and back to your question, this is something that we can do to acquire more and more end users, as well as it should be very beneficial to the public goods.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm quite answering the question, but I want to really good time. I want to go back on the dataset side. So if we make it very easy for everyone in the community to contribute and get paid solely for what they're doing, I feel like the mass will come, and it's going to be like a big group in kind, in the sense that everybody can contribute, and everybody's like being paid on the quality or the quantity of data, because Like right now, the current scope is like how they do is like they pay vendors, and there's a really paid on the number of rows they add into datasets. But here, like with leveraging blockchain, you can really like slash. Let's say if somebody's moving around, as I said before, you can slash them and do a bunch of loopings. And using Bubble, you can read the different datasets. If you want to keep some datasets, you have closed doors, you still can. But it's just like the whole process to create these datasets is like open, so now you know how it's done. And if you want to buy a dataset from a company, you still can do it. I mean, some companies would still spend a few $1 million on creating a dataset. It's not like they want to open it because this will remain. Companies will speak for profit, so you have to be honest about it. And so you have to give the opportunity for companies to use blockchain to create the datasets. And if they want to, they can sell it using blockchain and decentralized storage and so on.
So, very last question. To wrap up our panel, I think we can look ahead. Any upcoming progress of your project, and what is the short and long-term goal for us? Start from Mina or Pierre, whatever you guys pick.
Yeah, so the only DataDAO that's live today is the Reddit DataDAO, because otherwise everything is just on testnet. So none of them have their live like dataset specific tokens, and Vana's just in testnet phase. So yeah, later this year, Q4, getting ready for mainnet launch, kind of having everything stood up, fully permissionless. So that's kind of what's up ahead. And then today, actually, we just announced Coinbase Ventures led a round and kind of $25 million in total funding, which is a big milestone, I think, for user-owned AI overall. So just kind of trying to continue to accelerate that ecosystem.
I think for us, like we just launched Mina's general purpose, like zero-knowledge proof of programmability a few months ago, 2 months ago or so. So I think the next thing on the AI side there is we're working on a like version of a ZK-ML system that can prove very large models, like including large language models. And we want to both have that out and like have benchmarks around that, as well as have some relatively simple, like almost toy demos on chain of large language models acting on behalf of contracts, trading things, and generally interacting with agents on blockchain.
Cool. Yeah, so for us, we have already launched our user-facing extension. You can download it on the Google Chrome Store. Feel free to test it out. And going forward in the next few weeks, we are going to integrate with more of our customers. So you will be able to use our data layer to basically prove your data to more and more consumer, more and more dApps in the Web3 space.
Yeah, first, I guess on the data side, so we already have this very simple, easy process of contributing to data sets. So you get paid in here, you don't have to stake anything, you just have to have a new wallet, and you just get paid for submissions. So this is running, but like it's kind of like we have a listing for this now. So one of the short terms on open this to the community. Like right now to give you an idea of the rewards you can get, depending on the data set. So the part that the data set you want to create, you basically attach given number of linear. And so right now, per data set per day, you can make like $60 a day, depending on how many contributions you send per day. So we want to build this to more people. We also have the benchmark side, it's not quite done yet. Right now, the whole stack, so the data sets, benchmark models, agents, which I don't speak about today. This whole stack is currently in closed alpha, and the open beta is going to come at the end of the year. So we'll go to this and see how together we can reach user-owned data.
Cool. Before I end up our panel, I got quick updates for my side as well. Chainbase is trying to create the very first cryptography model based on on-chain data, knowledge, information. We will open source an 8 billion parameters model on Hugging Face by the end of the month, and hopefully we can incorporate with all of you. Of course, we've already incorporated with Vana and also Mina. So yeah, that's the end of our panel. Thanks everyone.